Yeah, and we don't have the election judges either. So that'll be a table also.
Well, we got a bunch of rain we needed to do that.
Where?
Well,
Rex, how are you?
Sonia, is the biz system already started?
Yes, sir. It's already started.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Jason, go on. Thank you. Bye.
It's not. I'll start it.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Mr. Hale.
Hello. How's
Gerald done.
I sounded graceful for my presence.
Hey,
I know you
we feel privileged.
We feel privileged.
We're flattered.
How's your weekend, Gerald?
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, good. It's been hotter than
I don't
42.
necessarily need to
It's been
speak
hotter than
Okay.
if I feel like I do, then when the
Yeah, I
time
did a little
is
fence
off,
repair Saturday, nearly got down.
you can let me know.
Well, I've been going out
Okay.
cleaning a lot off on the lake and I just can't breathe. I quit, I started about 6 in the morning and quit about 10:30.
Ed,
Can't do
can
it
you
anymore.
see me?
Too hot.
Oh, there's the problem.
I'm on my age.
No. I do slow down though. I don't get quite a bigger hurry than what I used to.
Had to get it done.
And I'm not opposed to sitting down and wait a few minutes every now and then.
Kind of like Betty Ann used to pat me for God. She does it the same way. Gatorade and water.
Well, I've really filled up the screen. Sonia, can you remote in and tell me what I've got going wrong? She's muted.
She's probably coming up here right now.
I hope. I was trying to get the recording started and it looks like I have,
I think she told me when I walked in the door, the recording was already started.
what have I got wrong?
Can you?
I've got Jed up in the little small window and that's all I can get to. Here we go.
We've got a. There we go.
Okay,
Good.
good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioners Court, Mills County, August 10th is in session. I will take a roll call before we start. We have present in the courtroom besides myself, Commissioners Hall and Wright. We have present via Zoom Commissioners Guerin and Williams. So we have 100% attendance and obviously a quorum. We also have present in court County Attorney Gerald Hale. We have County Clerk Carolyn Foster. We have present via Zoom County Treasurer Trina Busby. And let's see, I see, is that we have Tina Allensworth, the Sheriff's Department, and I can't tell who's in the second row.
Chris Green.
Okay, Chris Green. So, and present in the court, we have Rex Williams from the city of Mullen. With that, let's stand for a pledge of allegiance and the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Commissioner Williams, can you lead us with a remote prayer?
Would love to. Bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this great county that we live and work in. Father, please continue blessing our county through these times of this pandemic. Be with each people of the county as they deal with this in our country. Father, please bless the Hill Country with some rain as we much need it. Father, guide us today as we do the business of Mills County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And I overlooked it because she has her camera off, but Cody McCarn from Mills Central Appraisal District, the chief appraiser there, is in attendance via Zoom. So the second item on the agenda is the minutes from July 27th and July 31st, which we don't have, so we will table those until our next meeting. Audience with individuals, Rex Williams is here. You indicated you had nothing specific you wanted to address the court on. Well, we're glad to have you. On the consent agenda, this being our first meeting of the month, we've got a number of reports. And last time, it sort of caught me later after I read through these a little bit. There was a motion to approve them as I had summarized them. And I think we need to be addressing the reports. I'm just trying to summarize to help you guys. If I miss something or get it wrong, speak up. My eyes are not wonderful, and there's a lot of fine print here. And I'm just trying to pick out the things that I thought were of interest, and there is a whole lot more information in our packages. And some of these, especially the treasurer's report, we'll all need to sign at the conclusion of the meeting. The first item in the consent agenda is the county treasurer's report for Mills County. It reflects receipts of $311,000 rounded for the month, and disbursements $419,000. That's on the first page. On the second page, you see the investment fund and liability information. Ms. Busby, is there anything you would like to add to that? I'll take that for a muted no. The next item is the monthly report from Mills Central Appraisal District, our collection report. This is through the month of July. You can see down at the bottom, it reflects that we are collected 91% of the county taxes for the year. The uncollected amount is up there on the top right, sort of. It shows uncollected $345,000. Sherryland Encore, that dispute, that is not a dispute, it's an appeal. is 300, excuse me, 305,000 of that number. This is just the number for the county taxes. There's a separate page which is in here. Well, actually it is. It's further back on road and bridge. The total amount that we're unpaid on Encore Sherry Land, not counting penalties and interest, is about 356,000. We would be at 99.1% collected if that was, if and when that's resolved. And as far as I know, through Friday checking the files, there is no hearing date set on this matter. The county agent's report, it follows. You see Mr. Guthrie covered about 1,000 miles during July. The biggest part of that is state meeting in Amarillo. And when you second page, upcoming plans, the big event is a sheep and goat exposition that's coming up in mid-August. The Mills County Sheriff's Office monthly report is follows. Had 307 calls reported through dispatch, of which just over half of them related to Sheriff Department assistance. The balance is about 70 EMS calls, and the rest of it scattered around. 5 arrests for the month, 7 jail bookings, out of county jail billings, $9,000, primarily San Saba, 1 prisoner from Comanche. The monthly Justice of the Peace activity report is in here. This is a form promulgated by the Office of Court Administration in Austin. Lots of data here. On the first page is kind of the court activity. The things I look at, it's about line. It's item number 2, new cases filed. You can see 14 non-parking criminal cases and 4, can't read it, but it's other cases. And then you come down near the bottom to line 10, cases disposed. So that was their intake. The disposal is 26 in the non-parking criminal and 3 in the other category. On the civil section, which is the second page, it's about the same layout. You see total cases at the top, new cases filed, and then down near the bottom, dispositions. Probably the interesting thing going on here would be this is where eviction cases would be filed, landlord-tenant matters, but a number of other things. The next page is juvenile activity, and there's no numbers there. And then the final page, other stuff. There's at the top, it'll show magistrations, which weren't many. I think it shows 3 for the month. And then at the bottom, you can see the financial information, total billing or fees collected of $7,783, of which the county's take was $48.95. So that's the month in justice court. Judge's office receipts. This is lots of stuff, but the big numbers recently have been in septic permits. You can see 7 permits issued in the month, $2,100. Senior center was used 7 times. The interesting things is the septic system reports. You can see we've got a couple of months of 4 and now 7 after a slow year. We're hearing from other counties and from the septic installers a real uptick in people coming out and trying to make their previously unutilized property livable. These are typically non-residents. So it's more and more people trying to make their Mills County property something they can use. Next group of reports or from our EMS service. You can see the calls in the city. That's the first page. And we have performance standards based on average call response times for the year. And in the case of the city, every single call was within the response times. The second page is the county, which although it has a longer response time, it's a little hard to read. I think it says 20 minutes, but only 69% of the calls fell within that time limit. We get a detailed report from the EMS on the slow calls, and I guess the story of it is at least 4 times it was the backup unit being dispatched from Hamilton, and that just adds time to it. That may improve in the future. I believe Hamilton has picked up the service contract for San Saba County and will be staging a backup ambulance there for for Mills County. So it may be 10 miles quicker. The other thing, we had 3 calls that are just flat. They can't get there in 20 minutes from the station. Things like New Horizons and way out west of Mullen. The third thing is there were at least 2 calls with bad directions. One where they had trouble finding it out in the country. One of which where the directions were the neighbor was going to meet them on the road and walk them to the location. So we're following it. For the month, it's under our standard, but the contract sets the standard for the year. So the ambulance out of San Saba may help. But that's the EMS story for the month. The last item in the consent agenda is the Veteran Service Officer monthly report. You can see he spent 27 hours on, I think it says 6 veterans. You can see the type of work he was doing. But the big headline, and I'm not sure it's in the fine print here, is that our Veteran Service Officer has finally received his Veterans Association accreditation, which means he gets direct access into the VA systems to try and solve veteran issues, as opposed to having to play phone tag with an agency that's largely been working from home and was not known for its speed to start with. That's not quite operational, although he's got the approvals now. He has to buy some super security devices for his computer. Actually, it's just like a key reader and then a secret key fob to put in it. It's not much money, but it's a bit of a delay. So that's going on, but I'm really proud of Mr. Wright for finally accomplishing this. It's been a fight with him with the VA.
Ed,
So, yes.
accounts payable. Did we do those?
No,
No, I skipped that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I didn't print them. So the accounts payable.
I have just
Go
one
ahead.
comment. One comment on precinct 2 for safety clean. We did take some tax off of that bill, so the amount went down to $170.27.
Okay. Thank you, Tarina.
I've got a
Yeah,
few questions.
I didn't follow that. Did anyone else on the court? Tarina, would you?
It's the taxes taken off the client. They charge us taxes and the taxes have been taken off.
Okay, so there'll be a credit.
There should be a credit, right, Trina?
We actually called it before we paid it. So on the form, the thing you signed, she corrected it, and I was just bringing it to your attention.
Okay, thank you.
I got a couple questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
I guess the first one's on page 1, the autopsies. Is that one over a year ago? Is that Tidwell that died over a year ago?
Yes, and Kim, I mean, she wanted to know why it wasn't paid, but I told her I never saw an invoice. So anyway, it is that old though, yes.
Oh my
Was it-
goodness, okay.
Was the invoice just dated recently, or had it been around for a while? Could you tell?
No, it had been around for a while, and Kim had it in her folder, but I don't think it ever got to me.
Okay. Another comment. It looks like Robert, all he's done is work in the shop for precinct 3. Just looking at your bills, I kind of give Robert heads up and sorry for all your troubles.
We've
Um,
done a lot of that. We've also put in a lot of tin horns too.
I have a question too, Torino, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I noticed precinct 1 and precinct 3, we were charged $597 for these safety cones that Jason got.
uh-huh.
And also precinct 2 was just charged $341, and I saw no charges for precinct 4.
Okay,
How
so
does that
I'll explain that. So back, Jason paid that bill. He didn't have enough room on his county credit card for the whole bill. So he paid some of it with his personal credit card. So last month, we reimbursed him his personal credit card. And at that point, I charged all that was applicable to Jason, to him. And then I charged most of the rest to precinct 2, but I had to finish it out. So in other words, all 4 of y'all paid the same amount. It was just, I had to reimburse Jason some of it. And then I had to actually, this is where I'm paying the county's credit card bill. But
So it sounds like it was spread over 2 different accounts payable cycles.
yes, that's what it was. I didn't want Jason to have to wait a whole month until the county's credit card bill came in to reimburse him.
and that was nice
Okay.
of you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
The next question I have is on page 8.
Okay. What
The
is it?
first one is Sheriff's Office there, and it's meals for BLM protest. Is that for extra deputies or?
Surely we didn't buy lunch for the protesters.
I'll let the sheriff's office answer that, but I think it was for the people that came from out of town to help.
Can,
They're muted. I can't hear them.
can we unmute Trina? Sonia, can we unmute law enforcement?
Requested they unmute. They have to unmute from their end. So it
Okay.
looks like she's working on it.
He's going to do it.
The other one was for the sheriff's department. What is a holographic rifle scope? Do we know?
First question is yes, we fed personnel that voluntarily came down to help us with the potential protest. They were here most of the day, so we fed them lunch. The second one, the holographic scope, is exactly what it sounds like. It's the scopes we use on our long guns. It's red dot sight. I mean, it's the scopes we use. So we had to purchase another one.
So is holographic the name of it, or is it produce a holographic?
That's the style of scope it is. It's not the brand name.
Okay. I'm just curious. I didn't know. I've never seen a holographic scope before. So,
It's kind of low power, isn't it, Chris? It's just something you look through and so you don't have to line your sights.
Correct. It's nothing for anything long range. It's essentially designed for fast acquisition of a target. We use them on all our rifles.
okay. And then Trina, on page 9, the sheriff's Drake's vehicle, was that some of that insurance, or was that after insurance?
No, that was insurance. She was supposed to put that on there.
I think that's
That was the wreck at the, I believe the fire or something out that way. When
Yeah,
you
it
ran it,
says
hit a deer.
Yeah, you see it says INS repair, so that, yes, we got to check in to cover that or most of that.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I was hoping I was reading it right. The only other one I had is page 12.
Okay,
And that it says funeral. Is it, we spent we went to a hotel and a meal for a funeral.
that's what he put on his card.
Okay.
Can y'all speak to that from the law enforcement center?
Yeah, it was Sheriff Vega that passed away from COVID. It's should be coming out of special use fund. A sheriff attended the funeral.
Yeah, but he spent the night.
Yes, it was in Lubbock, so.
So I'm just, so I didn't know we could go to a funeral and use county monies for a hotel.
That's why we did it out of special use funds.
Well, I don't get that.
I thought special use funds was only for training and equipment.
That's what I thought.
It's different line items for different, yeah, it's one for travel, things of that nature.
I think that's pushing the limit a little bit there because I don't get to do that. I've had a couple commissioners die that I know in Big Lake and different things like that. Anyway, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, well, thank you, Trina, for catching that I skipped payables. It looks like we've covered everything else on the consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Approve the agenda.
Commissioner Wright has moved approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Hall. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous approval. Item 4, the election judges, we will pass that. We'll have a meeting next Monday. Should we address that then? Will you be ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I just haven't heard that from everybody yet.
Okay,
So we table that.
yes. Okay, number 5, I just wanted everybody to see this. This is the way taxes are calculated, tax rates under the tax simplification that came out of Senate Bill 2. And this is 8 pages to calculate the no new tax rate, the voter approval tax rate, and the de minimis tax rate for Mills County. There's another 8 pages for Road and Bridge that I didn't bother to put in here because it's the same drill. You'll notice it's not signed. And Cody, if you would unmute yourself, please. It's my understanding that the signature on the bottom of it comes from the RTA for the appraisal district. Is that correct?
Correct. And I sent you a copy of that on Thursday.
Okay, yeah.
As a signed copy.
So this isn't for us to execute. And I just want to, first of all, I think I'd like to walk you through it a little bit. On the first page, you can see on line 4, the adapted tax rate for last year. And then on the second page, you see some interesting stuff on 10 and 11. This is property values that we lost for various reasons, or qualified for an exemption or a different tax treatment. And it works down to the appraised value of the tax rolls for the upcoming year, which is 2020. So that we always run a little bit in arrears. This is this year, and this is the value that will be billed with the tax rate we set for this year. That's on line 18. Then on line 23 on the next page, there's the new property added. And then there's calculations down in 26 and 27 for the no new tax rate. So that's the rate that applied to the prior properties. In the old days, we called it the effective tax rate. And the reason there are two numbers is line 26, as I understand it, is just for the county tax. 27 rolls up both taxes, county and road and bridge.
No, on this, we don't add them both on this page since we figure the road and bridge separately.
Okay.
So those
there's
are the
no
same number. There's no
Okay.
difference in those two numbers.
So the next page starts off with the maintenance and operation tax rate. Then there'll be on the page after that, 39, the no new tax rate just for maintenance and operations of the county. And then on 40 is the debt payments we have due. This is just our bonded debt. This is not equipment debt, and it's not the senior center. It's the two public bond issues we have outstanding. And on the page following that, which is page number, I can't read it, 6, I think.
That's correct.
On line 46, there's the amount of tax rate that is needed to cover the debt. And then there's the voter approved tax rate. That's the rate that if you go over that, it triggers an automatic election. In the old days, it triggered, it permitted, that if you received a petition, you had to have an election. Now it's automatic. There's no voter petition required. And then the line, let's see. Yeah. Then somewhere there is, and I've lost it, the de minimis tax rate, which is an exception to that.
Page 8, Judge.
You find it?
Page 8.
The last page.
Okay. Now let me get there then. I got, want to point to on the bottom of page 7, there's a box. It's all zeros right now, but it's the unused increment tax rate. Where this will come into play is like next year. So if we have taxes that are below the voter approved tax rate, that amount of being less than that starts accumulating. And I think it accumulates for up to 3 years in this unused increment category. So that if you're under 1 year, you can go over by that much more some future year. So it's zeros now, but it's an important line to watch. And then, yeah, here's what Jason found for me on page 8. This is the one, and this is where Mills County gets most of the benefit. It's called the de minimis rate. So it's whatever your revenue was, they add $500,000 to it. And you can use the de minimis rate as the alternate for the voter approval tax rate. So I just wanted y'all to see how these numbers are calculated and what's behind them, because when we get to setting a tax rate, this doesn't set the rate, but it does set the other components we have to advertise: the no new tax rate, the voter approval rate, and the de minimis rate. So next thing on the agenda, well, first, any questions on that? There's no action required. I think it's good information. Next item on the agenda, budget workshops and things we hadn't covered before. There's the schedule of the county budgeted salaries for last year, next year. These come, the numbers in this tie to the budget. So the budget numbers that you looked at, for instance, in your precincts are driven by the right-hand column budgeted max yearly. Just information. You can see the total payroll on the bottom of the second page is $1,970,000. So that's how much money Mills County is budgeted to pay on salaries. I didn't say compensation because there's almost an additional 20% on top of this with group our insurance programs, our retirement programs, and payroll taxes.
So are we worried anything about our compensation, or does everything look okay?
To me, it looks okay. I mean, I'm sensitive to the discussion we had last year about raises. Like to point out a couple of things. One of them was, I think Ms. Busby's provided me this report almost monthly as we've been working through the budget process. Now, last time I did the math, which might have been the one before this, approximately 47% of the employees in the county were not at their maximum pay grade. So there's a component of a sizable component of the county that can continue to get salary increases under their maximum that's approved in the budget. For the other side, the 53% that are at their maximum, the budget includes continuation of the longevity plan. Those are the people that benefit the most from that. That's about, as I recall, the number in the longevity plan in the budget was around $44,000. So there's about, I think there's about $40,000 of money here that's under the cap. There's another 40 in the longevity plan. And then when you look at what I see in other counties around the state, everybody this year seems to be taking the approach of we in the government are lucky to have jobs and benefits that are continuing, and it's not unusual. I mean, it's common for the surrounding counties anyway. Nobody's giving raises.
They're not getting any cost of living raises?
No, that's, I mean,
Brown County.
what I read in Brown County was that Brown didn't, San Saba didn't, Hamilton didn't. I don't know about Lampasas.
I had to check the truth. I just heard that Brown.
I heard Brown County was giving
cost of living
across the board.
My recollection, and it's just from reading the Brown County newspaper, was the contrary, but I'll go check. Now, nobody's done with their budget yet,
Right.
So it's all a jump ball at this point. And whether or not they have these other issues, like we're budgeting the top pay and we have the longevity plan, I don't know the answer to that. We've, the other thing that's in here is the precinct stuff again. I had a commissioner point out to me that some of his citizens were concerned that some precincts were getting more money and theoretically there's more attention to their roads than others. So I wanted to take a look at that in that context. And so here's what we've looked at before. And to me, where the difference is equipment and materials in precinct 1. Other than that, everybody's doing about the same. Mike, can you help me with what, there was something in the materials you were proposing a specific project?
Correct. I had 2 low water crossings. Those cost for $42,000 something dollars. And I eliminated that. I brought it back to you and took that out.
So this 59 is no longer correct?
No, sir.
Okay.
Now, what is correct on it is that the 42 that I removed from that, I added 15,000 of that for crushed material I was gonna buy from Porter. Precinct 1 has never bought material before. We've always been at the mercy of the landowners getting our material, and that's getting harder and harder to do. So I put 15,000 in that for material this year for 2020.
So your road material line item is what? 15 total or 59?
What are you showing, Tarina? I'm showing 31.
That is correct. 31 is correct.
31 is what I have.
That's what I have too.
I got 59 on mine.
Yeah,
That's why I have.
yeah, I'm sorry. I did not update that summary sheet after that first meeting.
Yes, I brought it to you.
Yeah.
And they showed what I was reducing everything.
If you look at the printout from Tarina that's behind the summary sheet, that's got it correct. It's showing 30.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
So that makes precinct 1 totals 330,000. If you, let's ignore the note payment. That's not up for discussion in any form. So that's 310,000 for everything other than the note payment.
59,000 of it. Of course, I brought that to the court too prior to this, during the budget process, or not 59, excuse me, 55,000. That's for, I told you that I was going to try to buy a dump truck. One of my dump trucks was completely down out of transmission, and they're all 34 years old, 28 years old, and 29 years old. Now I was going to try to buy a dump truck. That's where the equipment cost comes in for precinct 1. I don't have that in front of me, the exact number, but I gave that to you. Good, so
Yeah, it's up here in the equipment line of 55,000.
What kind of dump truck you looking for is gonna cost $55,000?
That's for 2.
I have no idea, Dad. I usually buy, what I do is I get the text doc, I have in the past, and deal with those people directly. My understanding with TxDOT now is that they've done away with their program of selling it to government entities. They've contracted with the individual that sells all their equipment now. So that's just an estimate.
And was that an estimate for 2 or 1?
Excuse me?
Was that an estimate for 2 or 1?
Just for one dump truck, and of course that would be, I'm gonna trade it, the 34-year-old dump truck. I'll probably try to trade it in on that price. I don't know if I can or not, whether they'll accept it or not. If they don't, then I'll take it out there at Cowboy Loves and sell it.
So the 55,000 is just a wild guess. You don't have a clue.
It's not a wild guess. It's numbers I've looked back on what size of dump truck, at least in the, 10 years old, that I can purchase.
Are you looking for a belly dump or just a straight dump?
Just a regular dump. We have not gone to the, belly dumps. I'm wanting to buy a larger dump truck like we have our large dump truck now. It seems to be pretty easy to handle on some of our county roads, but I'm not going to a belly or a trailer in a truck.
What'd that belly cost you, Jason?
30 for the trailer and about 30 for the pick and 30 for the truck.
Those bellies are a lot more expensive than a straight dump.
But I know, but I bought mine brand new. Right now, the oil field is, being shut down. You can buy a lot of those things, really good ones, for a pretty good price. But you got to have a haul truck to haul it. So that's where your price might come in. I know they're nice. I tell you that. They're really nice.
Yeah, I'll go with you on that for sure.
Well, what's the pleasure of the court on this issue?
Well, I'm better with it being 31. That 59 was what was throwing me off. So,
Okay.
Who was the general public that was interested in my budget, Judge? You made the comment?
No, what I said was, or what I meant to say was, I had a commissioner tell me that.
Okay, that's not what you said. You said
Okay.
the general public
No,
was
that
concerned with
so
my
that
budget.
he would have been approached by his, what do you call it? Members of his precinct saying, how come one precincts get more money to do their roads than us?
I've never known the precincts have been the same in our budgets. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've
Even
never seen that.
netting out
Now,
equipment.
is that commissioner want me to do the same thing they're doing?
Yeah.
Is that the question? If it is, that's what needs to be asked.
Yes, and I need to be out not asking it. Any other discussion? Okay. Let's talk, number 7, consider an act on, let's read this correctly. Rules for public hearings. We have rules of procedures for meetings of the Mills County Commissioners Court. And we approve them almost every year. They're for reading. I'm reading from them now. All regular, special, emergency, and executive session meetings of Mills County Court will be blah, blah, blah. What I'm concerned about is we're coming up on public hearings. We're going to have a public hearing on the budget, which is not a big deal. And that's actually scheduled for next Monday. But past that, and it will be a bigger deal, we're going to have at some point public hearings on tax abatements, because we have 2 wind farms that have got tax abatements, applications they have submitted to the court. It's probably been 30 plus days ago. The problem isn't just conducting a public meeting, it's how to do it in this COVID environment. Because we could have the budget tax rate hearing in the courtroom and we probably wouldn't have 10 people. But the last wind farm abatement hearing I heard about was pretty full district court. And if we have to stay 6 feet apart, the other rules, then we have the temperature checking, we have Zoom, we have YouTube. I wanted to put together rules that would address all of that. So it would be out there for the public to know how to participate. I don't want to hide this. I want to get it out to as many people as possible. At the same time, we have obviously open meeting rules to contend with, and not a whole lot of guidance. I mean, I've checked, as best I can tell, there have been 2 counties that have had public hearings on wind farms since all this COVID started, or on tax abatements. One of them, it was a non-event because it was just replacing the heads on the existing turbines. So there wasn't any new field to speak of and nobody showed up for it. The other one, I don't have the details on yet. It was in Potter County, Amarillo. So I've shared this with our county attorney. I've shared it with the law firm in Sweetwater Now, by shared, I'm talking about like Thursday or Friday, so I don't have any feedback yet to get their input on how this might work. Gerald, do you have any observations?
Well, just in general terms, I mean, the requirement of having any public meeting, number one, it has to be in a public place. And number two, you have to allow access to at least, there's always restrictions on how many people you can get in the room, even before COVID. If your room that you're having the meeting in only holds 100 people, that's all the people that can come in. And so I don't think just because you limit it to how many people can come into the room is a problem as far as having a public meeting. I mean, I think you have to work around the COVID thing. Maybe you could have it in the district courtroom with the aisles marked off and the social distancing in there and say first come, first serve. When those spots are filled up, that's all that's going to get in. And I think if you do that, then you comply with the public hearing aspect. But I do think you have to make some attempt to allow the public access to the meeting, or you violated that public meeting requirement.
What I've put together tried to track what the Attorney General did for like Commissioner Court meetings, where besides the limited public speaking, there is a broadcast via YouTube, so anybody can see it either real time or later. And if anybody wants to participate, there is this, you fill out a speaker form, you get a Zoom address, and you get a time slot to physically make whatever presentation you want to make to the court if you're unable to fit physically in the room. So that probably doesn't, that's really not contradicting what you're saying.
No, and I think a combination of the two would be great, but I don't know, in my opinion, you need to have a process where you at least allow some people in the room.
Yes.
My question is, what if you have 10 people that want to do it online and give you a question, and you got 3 or 5, 3, 6, whatever in the courtroom that want to give the same question?
Well, my thought was to do like we do here, have people sign up that want to speak. And then if they're more than some number, and we can set the number that want to speak on one side or the other of the issue, then you ask them to, consolidate their comments and have a spokesman, or submit the questions in writing and we will read them into the record and to the public.
Does the district courtroom, does it have videos or hooks into that?
That's the problem. It does not.
No.
So we lose the capacity to interact with the people that want to do it electronically. If we go over there, we would pick up, I counted this, I think we could see 8 to 10 people here using spacing. Assuming everybody's not a family, they're all spread out. If we were over there, the number, I think if you include the balcony, goes up to around 30.
To have that the Family Life Center that y'all use for district court, how does that work? Y'all have videos set up?
No, there's no, what district court's going to be doing over in the Family Life Center is only the initial jury pool screening. So that will not be televised, but they're going to call, do you know how many?
Yeah, we send out, I send out 300 cards for jury summons. We usually end up with about 125 on a really good day. We might have 150 people show up. Usually about 100, between 100 and 125 people show up. And I think Sonia said when they went over there, the spacing that Ellis wanted inside the Family Life Center, there's something like enough for like 80 people, I think she said.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. We've got, that's coming up on the 24th of August, actually. And they will screen them. Ellis has asked, I mean, and there's a, the State Office of Court Administration under the Supreme Court has approved these plans on what you have to do, but, there'll be a chair and then there'll be 6 feet of basketball court, and then another chair. And I hadn't heard the number, but it sounds like it may be 80.
Now, what will do everybody else knows, they're inside, try to keep them social distance. While they're waiting, I have no idea. No one's told them.
What?
If that's the case, then even in this courtroom, like Gerald was saying, I feel more comfortable if somebody wants to come in person and speak, because I have a problem sometimes hearing what's said over the video. And not only that, could we do it in shifts? In other words, like somebody come in, if they had a waiting line, and let those people speak and leave, and let the other bunch come in. And you utilize this room.
I think as long as you allow some members of the public to come in, like I said, on a first come, first served basis, I don't think it's important whether you have it in here or in the other courtroom as far as what the number is of how many people you let in, as long as you have access to some people. There's some courtrooms in Texas that are a lot smaller than our courtroom here, and they have public trials, and if you don't fit in the room, you don't fit in the room. That's not, as long as you have it available to whoever shows up first and can get in and sit down, I think you complied with the public hearing requirement.
Judge, how many can you sit in the commissioner's courtroom?
I think we could seat 8 to 12 in the gallery. What's y'all's recollection on the last time we had a tax abatement hearing? What size crowds did we have?
We had a full courtroom in court.
Yeah. In fact, there was people standing on the back wall.
Yes.
In here?
In here.
Yes, but
And there was people sitting over here in the jury front.
that is correct. And not all of them spoke.
Mhm.
Some of them were just interested in the landowners.
Right.
There's no requirement that everybody shows up and gets a seat, so
That's what I'm looking at too.
as long as it's fair for everybody, and we don't pick and choose who can come in and who doesn't.
First come, first served.
Right, if they want to get here 2 hours ahead of time and wait in line, then
So be it.
get with it.
Commissioner Guerin's waving.
Judge, what would be wrong with limiting it to 10 in the commissioner's courtroom with 3 minutes of an individual to speak, say 15 on the Zoom with the same time limit of 3 minutes to speak? That'd be 25 people, and that's probably more than spoke last couple of times.
I don't know what's wrong with it. Ms. Foster, were you saying?
It's not like saying there's no more room in the courtroom, it's because you can have as many people on Zoom as like up to like 100 or something on Zoom. So I don't know how you can say you can't speak.
Well, I mean, what we would do would segregate it, and the electronic participation is via YouTube, which is a one-way communication, unless somebody signs up and wants to speak, in which case you assign them a Zoom address. The reason you do the one-on-one assignments of the Zoom address as opposed to just publish it is if you publish it, then you're exposed to what's called Zoom bomb.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So you gotta sort of hand out the Zoom stuff one-to-one, or run the risk of getting, somebody dropping an adult cartoon into the middle of your show.
Pre-register to speak on Zoom, Judge.
Say that again, Jed?
Pre-register, you have to pre-register to present your argument on Zoom.
Yes.
And then the 10 to going into the courtroom, that's just the first 10 or whatever, but you're gonna have to limit it with this COVID going on. Jason?
How many people will the wind people bring? That'll be a good question too. We may have to limit them.
I believe both first of all, I think just practically, we'd actually end up making this two different decisions. So we would have one public hearing on NG Pretty Wind Project and a separate public hearing on Payne Gap, Swift Current, whatever that group's called. You got to do that separately because they're
Two
different
meetings, because there'd be too many.
different people, different presentations, and both applicants are more than willing to make their presentation remotely and have it show up on a screen. Go ahead, Jason.
That's fine. I just know when I went to NG's, now that was before COVID started out at Pretty, there was probably 20 people they brought. So, and that was just one company. So I didn't want that to happen. That'd fill up the courtroom.
No, yeah, we can't do that. There's no reason they can't make their pitch electronically. Everybody on the court knows what a wind farm is by this point.
Should.
Yeah.
I think you need to make sure you leave a seat for the press.
Yes.
Agree.
Wonder, I don't even see the press here today. So,
Well, whether they come or not is their choice.
Yeah.
You need to make that available to them.
yeah, I agree. Like I say, the first one of these we have coming up, and it's not going to be a critical one, is the budget. We have to have a public hearing on the budget, which is next Monday. That I think we can accommodate just like we do now. But I would like to get rules in place. And if y'all are comfortable with this, we can act on it. If you want more time, we can table it and turn back in your suggestions. I'll get more information from Potter County and the wind farm attorneys in Sweetwater and put this back on the next agenda. But we have to give 30 days notice on a public hearing on a tax abatement. So if we were to give notice, basically that means 40 days in a weekly newspaper environment. So if we were to do it next week, we'd be talking late September.
Are the judge, are any of the energy people ready to present?
Both firms are calling me about every other week, ready to present, and at least with regard to NG, making the subtle remarks that if they aren't able to place their equipment orders, their plans to construct in 2021 are going to get pushed back to the next year. So, some of that is posturing. There may be a kernel of truth to it, but it also affects us financially as to what tax year this stuff starts coming online.
Judge, do you want a motion on this public hearing deal?
Yeah, if you're prepared to make one.
Or do you want to wait and get more information from the attorneys? Are they going to weigh in on it?
However, whatever the pleasure of the court is.
I'd like to have a little more time to think about and discuss it before we have a motion vote on it today.
Okay, well,
that's not just my thought, Judge.
What's your pleasure, Commissioner Hall?
I think if we're waiting on them lawyers, hear from them lawyers, maybe we need to hear from the lawyers first.
Okay. Well,
before we have anything on this,
I'll move to table the rules for public hearing and
Judge, can you put it on the meeting?
yes.
Okay. I'll second your motion, Judge.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Commissioners requesting reports. Commissioner Williams?
You want me to go first?
I'm
okay?
sorry, I'm out of order. Commissioner White?
That's all right, I'm ready.
No, I try and start with,
Leave him out.
I try and start with number one.
We've been busy with road work, wish we get a little faster, we could do a little blade, but, we just been doing a lot of brush cutting and trying to fill up potholes and stuff. That's all I have.
Commissioner Guerin?
We're still hauling material on County Road 249. We did a couple of days' work at Mount Olive Cemetery trying to help them with their oak leaf wilt problem. And that's about it.
Commissioner Hall?
We've been hauling base from the Owens pit south of Pretty there, working on County Road 529. Finally got Larry Gorey here to finally fix most of the oil leaks on these maintainers and stuff. Put in 410 horns on 529 and mostly worked on equipment and lots of tires with these trucks running the road back and forth. We've rode out 5 or 6 tires on them trucks. So it's that hot weather does it all. That's it.
Commissioner Williams?
I don't know where to start. I got a whole bunch, but Ebony Community, been working with them after the fire. We're going to try to have a meeting. They want to get together, the whole community out there, and discuss some things and issues that maybe has to do with the volunteer fire department. I don't know, but they just want to have a round table. May try to do some of that via Zoom, but I don't see that happening until at least November. But this fire really woke them up, and talking to David Schwartz and several other people, this is the biggest fire they've ever fought in Mills County. So it kind of woke a few people up. We've been out around the Ebony community, pushing those fire lanes down with the one maintainer. We got still going, and Sonia's working with insurance on the other maintainer, and we're trying to get that taken care of. Talked to Richland Water Company over in Richland Springs. During the fire department was able to drive over past Indian Creek and hit a water spigot out there to get water from Brooksmith. Well, that made me think of there's one over at Regency. So I went over to Regency in Richland and we talked to them, and they have allowed us to get water from that inspout. So that will help. That'll be able to get water out in that area if our fire or whatever needs to be refueled, instead of driving 30 minutes back to Goldthwaite. So that was a big plus. We built valves and cutoffs and stuff like that last week too. Serviced a few pieces of equipment, hauled our material from precinct 1 and fixed a few places. Had another fire at Big Valley we had to go work. This one was started by hay baler in a coastal field. And thank goodness they kept it in the coastal field. It got over the fence just a little bit, but they were able to take care of it. The other thing is talking with Cody McCarnes, and she showed me how to do it. And I did a report on the Ebony property, which I thought was kind of interesting. I went from the Ridge Schoolhouse all the way west. There's roughly 404 properties out that way. Of those 404 properties, and some of them are duplicates, but only 81 out of that 400 live in Mills County. So there's a lot of absentee landowners, and y'all all know that as commissioners, but it's interesting to actually see it written down on a report. So they don't get to vote for you either. So, but it's just showing what our county's got, a lot of absentee. I mean, that's just one corner of landowners. So I just thought that was interesting. Other than that, I've got MCAD meeting this week. I've got Hill Country Community Action next week. So I'm going to be still pretty busy. And that's it, Judge.
Okay. My report, we've covered some of it. August 24th is going to be the first jury event we've had in Mills County since COVID started. The summonses have been mailed. We'll use on Monday the Methodist Church to screen the jurors, but then the trial itself will be going on either starting Monday afternoon or Tuesday.
But I doubt it will be Monday afternoon.
Okay. Tuesday in the courthouse. So we'll have all, the doors locked and the downstairs screening. And at least early in the week, it's probably going to be closing the clerk's office. I mean, they're going to be,
Sorry, Monday on the 24th, when we're getting the jury together, our office will probably be closed all day because there are only 2 of us, and it takes 3 of us to do that. So we'll be closed all day, most likely, at least until we get the jury in hand.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week, one of us will be upstairs with the jury, one will be in the office.
So at our court meeting, we won't have a.
well, we won't have, we have a public hearing scheduled and a meeting scheduled actually
We got a court meeting 24th.
on August 17th. We have a court meeting on our calendar every Monday of August. If we approve the budget, the tax rate on the 17th, we may cancel. I'm trying to put everything else on the agenda for the 17th too and cancel the 24th because of what's going on with the clerk and the courthouse. If there's anybody got something we have to deal with, come talk to me and we'll figure out a date that we can do it. But it looks like we will have a problem with having a meeting on the 24th. But since we have one on the 17th and we got something we got to do, we can pack it in or have a meeting on whatever the one is after the 24th, the 31st. Right. That's it on the COVID front. After the state underreporting on Mills County for months, they have finally caught up and are ahead. I think they are one more than we do. And the number is, I believe it's 18 active cases. The rest of the state's slowing down. It doesn't look like it's slowed down locally. And with schools starting back up, everything I can read, there's probably a 2-week lag between events and cases starting to appear. So, we get into September, past dove season, Labor Day, schools, we'll probably see an uptick again. So unfortunately, that could all be happening by the time we get into big public hearings. So just for what it's worth. That's all I have today. Mr. Morris, was there anything you wanted to add? Okay, well, yeah, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I'll move with adjourn.
We have
I'll second it.
a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for your participation. We are adjourned.